Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back. It's the Rich Eisen Show basketball podcast. We are here. It is Thursday. There were 4 games last night. TJ is here.
Yo.
Adam's going to the airport. He's going somewhere. But we got a special guest.
Yes, we do.
Kirk Morrison in the house.
What up, Kirk? Hey, what up, Playboy?
For sure. What's up?
What up?
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank y'all for having me.
We'll get right to it.
Our first ever guest,
Kirk.
by the way, Kirk.
Our first ever podcast guest.
First ever.
Even Rich hasn't been on. Because he would just talk about how he won fantasy. All right, Kirk, let's just start with Golden State.
Yeah.
Down 2-0 to Sacramento. They go home. Draymond gets suspended. They win. They win game 4 at home. They hold home court. Then they go on the road, and they pick up a road win. They only had a handful of those this season, but
11.
They won a road game in the playoffs. For like the 27th or 28th straight series.
Yeah.
That is absolutely bananas. Do you expect them to close out in game 6?
I do expect them to close out. I think playing at home, Chase Center, they're comfortable. Everyone knows where their spots are. I think the experience takes over. This series has been one in which the first 2 games, a little bit surprised. Not necessarily game 1, because the energy at the Golden One Center in Sacramento, their first playoff game in how many years? I mean, the excitement was there. The building was electric. And then the confidence that De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis and Malik Monk, those guys are playing with. So when they stole game 2 as well, you're like, okay, this is a series. But I've always was taught, right? I've always been taught. In the NBA, it's not a series until the visiting team wins.
Right.
And so both teams held court, and then we got to game 5, and this was like the game, right? Whoever wins game 5 usually goes on to win the series.
Pivotal game 5.
The Warriors won game 5 in a hostile environment, and to me, it was a pivotal game because this is the 3rd game in the row where they had to change up their lineup, right? Game 3, they changed it, obviously because of Draymond Green being out due to suspension. But Draymond Green coming off the bench in games 4 and 5 has given the Warriors an initial spurt offensively because they're able to spread the floor out. And when Draymond Green comes in, he's another point guard. He's handling that second unit where you're able to keep one star on the court. That's what it is with the Warriors. How many times this series has really been about how do they minimize the minutes for Steph Curry, the plus minus you like to talk about all the time, Brian.
Plus minus, man, big stat.
Plus minus when Steph Curry has been on the floor, it's been plus. When he's off the floor, it's been minus. Draymond Green coming off the bench has definitely helped mitigate that in games 4 and 5.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. Draymond Green was plus 13 last night. He had 21 points. I think they said in the post game it was first 20-point game since Christmas of 2019.
Yeah, when the
Draymond,
when the Warriors were bad.
Shout out to Draymond. He was like, we were awful that year. We beat the Rockets. Like, he remembered everything about that, which I thought was pretty interesting. But, man, oh, man, it's just Sacramento, it does feel like this feel-good story of the year, the most surprised team in the NBA. Right. Mike Brown wins Coach of the Year. It's been an awesome story. It does feel like Cinderella's coming and midnight is striking for them, TJ, which is too bad. You don't want to see them limp out losing 4 in a row like this. Is that the sense that you get watching this series? Is that it's over?
I really don't, man. Look, they lost by 7 points?
7 points.
7 points.
Night,
And here's the deal. You're not going to get 21 points out of Draymond Green every night.
No, that's true.
Obviously, it's just not happening. I feel like this is going to go 7. I feel like, you know, if you watch that last game, the Kings, man, they had their opportunities to take this win.
They could have won the game 4. Harrison Barnes had a wide open three.
Which would have been just so poetic for him to be the guy to make that game-winning shot. I just feel like the way this series is going, I feel like this is destined to go to 7. I think I'm going to just stick with this. I feel like the Kings are going to win this series.
Yeah, I'm going differently. I just said the experience of the Warriors, I think they take care of business at home. But I think more importantly, what I've seen is everything has been fun in the shallow end. And then all of a sudden now the Warriors start dragging the young swimmers to the deep end. That's and now can you keep afloat? Can you sustain these crucial games, these crucial minutes? And you know, the Warriors in game 5, they found a way in that crucial crunch time. They made better plays, more plays, and the young, inexperienced team act like they hadn't been there before.
Yeah. Well, and let's also look back to the point where, like, of course, his resume is so great that even had they lost, it would be overlooked. But Steph calling that timeout in what was that, game 4?
Man, that was a major.
That was a major
GOAT moment that ended up really not mattering at all because they won the game.
But that could have
hurt, right?
That could have really hurt them.
You mentioned the Harrison Barnes play may not have ever happened had Steph not called the timeout.
Yeah.
So let's put that in perspective. But
Harrison Barnes hits that shot, and then they come suddenly they're up 3-1 in the series, and we know 3-1. I mean, that's usually pretty much a lock.
That's on his resume,
and that's on his resume forever. That's a little bit of a black eye.
But guess what?
I
feel like Steph is we put him on such a pedestal that, if you notice, no one's even bringing up the fact that it happened, even though it didn't cost them the game. And I feel even that they lost.
Immediately, that's what I thought about.
I think that would have gotten buried in his resume anyway.
Well, if J.R. Smith does it, anybody else in the NBA, we are crucifying that guy.
Yeah.
But it's
Steph does it, it's like, oh, he just had a blunder.
Yeah, because guess what? He doesn't have
anybody
many.
else like, oh, my, that dude drinking Hennessy before the games. Like, how could you Steph, this is how we move the needle for certain players.
Yeah, Steph just doesn't have those blemishes on his record, so that's why. Like, had they even lost the game, I feel like that would have been lost somewhere on like page 5 or 6 of his resume. But it was just very interesting that someone like that, a GOAT player, someone so experienced, would have that kind of moment. And that just goes to show you, like, when 19-year-old Chris Webber did it and everyone to this day got on him, like, I hope this kind of, obviously you can't take the heat off of Chris because it's been so long, but just makes people kind of look at it and go, sometimes in the heat of the moment, even the very best players in the NBA in the world can like lose where they're at. So, but I feel like De'Aaron Fox is showing that he's got that dog in him. You know, that meme that always goes around now with a chest x-ray and there's a pit bull where the heart is. I think that's De'Aaron Fox, and I just feel like watching this kid grow up, kind of turn into the player that people thought he was going to be out of Kentucky, seeing how Malik Monk has played, getting reunited, and watching Sabonis. And I just feel like this team, they're getting this experience that they didn't have, obviously, in game 1. And maybe it's just a fan of me wanting more, but I truly believe we're going to see 7 out of this series.
I'll leave it at this. This is what happens when you're on national TV. We can watch you. Let's just be honest. I don't have to look through NBA League Pass and find a Kings game.
Yeah.
When you're on national TV, you're the only game on. We're watching and say, oh, wow, Domantas Sabonis. Oh, my God.
Like, who's that?
He's good. Oh, Malik Monk. Oh, he's not on the Lakers, but he's doing. Oh, my God. De'Aaron Fox, he went to Kentucky. Yes. This is a good basketball team. Trey Lyles, all
the nation never got to see.
We just never got to see it because the same thing with the Detroit Pistons, right? I mean, just some teams are bad until you start winning games. Then we'll put you on national TV.
Yeah, you got to kind of change the narrative. It's just after 2 games, we were kind of burying the end of the Warriors dynasty. What a great run, and this, that, or the other. And now they're 1 game away from moving on, and who knows who they're playing in the next round. It looks like it could be LA.
But I love it because it looks like the Kings are going to be players for the next couple seasons.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
That's just awesome.
Before we get to Lakers and Grizzlies, we got to talk about the biggest story really in the NBA. The Miami Heat, they did it. They were a play-in game. They had in the play-in tournament. They looked downright awful, losing at home to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Then they play Chicago, and they're going to lose to the Bulls, and then suddenly they're just out. Like they almost made the finals last year. So they go from the play-in to knocking out the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. Granted, Giannis didn't play a couple of games. They won one of the games that he didn't play. Mm-hmm. But what Jimmy Butler has done in this playoff series has kind of taken he was already kind of an enigma, just a weird guy. We know what happened in Minnesota, and then Philly doesn't bring him back, and then he goes to Miami. They go to the finals in the bubble. 1 shot away from making the finals again last year against Boston, and now knocking out the 1 seed, the NBA title favorites. What did you think about Jimmy Butler, guys? Should they build a statue of him in Miami, just like right now, like for never winning a title, just what he's been able to do? It's been really remarkable.
I believe he surpassed Dwayne Wade for most 30-point games.
Yeah. 40-point games.
40-point
playoff games in Heat history.
I can't believe that. I think that's one. The other thing I always think about with Jimmy Butler now is you're not surprised because you see that meme of him in the bubble, right? The meme of him leaning over on the score. Or
the exhausted Jimmy.
The exhausted Jimmy. Because when they always say, hey, athletes, leave it on the court, leave it on the field.
This dude.
That his picture should be in the dictionary of leaving it on the court, leaving it on the field. He gives you everything he's had. And I think Eric Spoelstra, who still doesn't get enough credit for what he does as a head coach. I mean, one of the longest tenured coaches in the NBA right now currently. When you think about what Jimmy Butler provides, he provides energy. He provides that point where, and I see this when I watch Aaron Donald too with the Los Angeles Rams. When we talk about football, when your best player is your hardest worker and expands, I mean, he wants the most out of you. Remember, there were fights and bickering for this Miami Heat team earlier in the year when they had that bad stretch of games, and they almost had to sit Jimmy down because it's a guy who wants to win, who wants to do it the right way, and is not afraid to call out other guys.
Definitely not.
And some guys aren't afraid to call him out, but that's what brothers do. They found a way. And what I saw was pretty cool in the game, the closeout game against the Milwaukee Bucks, is when you have, Lopez and when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're not going to get shots at the basket, at the rim. Like, those two dudes are rim protectors. So what Eric Spoelstra decides to do is, let's make Bam Adebayo our primary ball handler. They put Bam Adebayo at the top of the key. That drew...
He had a triple-double last night.
That drew Lopez out. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting Giannis in the pick and roll on the outside. And what does that do? It now opened up the rim. And so it was a lot of... They didn't get back by shooting threes. They got back by getting close perimeter shots. Again, Eric Spoelstra doesn't get enough credit for what he was able to do. This just, to me, it's mind-boggling how Miami is now moving on.
Yeah.
And this was a team that was dead in the water before the playoffs even started.
Dead in the water 2 weeks ago. TJ looked so bad against the Hawks in the play-in game. And now here they are in the second round taking on a Knicks team, throwback to the 90s. It's going to be a remarkable, tough, hard-nosed, all your cliches, that series coming up. What did you see? Are you shocked as we are?
Of course, I think everyone's shocked, especially when you consider that the Heat are doing this without Tyler Herro, losing Victor Oladipo, and that's just, another in the long lines of injuries. And you hope that guy can come back and make it back to the court, because Oladipo at one point looked like he was destined for greatness, right? And then to have him hurt his knee again, Herro breaking his hand, and you're thinking, all right, that's a wrap for the Heat, right? And then for them to win this series, I'm still a little bit in disbelief. But another thing that someone's getting away with, and we're not talking about, was the fact that Jimmy Butler did his best Michael Irvin impression on that play to tie the game, where he literally took two hands, he shoves off Pat Connaughton, but you got to give props for the fall away catch, like he's falling backwards,
falling down,
catching it and throws it up like.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It's only a penalty. It's only a penalty or foul when it's called.
Yeah, but like no one even mentioned the fact. And Shaq's like, well, that's not a foul. And Chuck was like, well, yeah, that was a foul. He pushed them. But it was remarkable.
Pat Connaughton ain't giving that call.
No. Yeah, and Jimmy Butler, big face coffee stock is definitely through the roof. This guy just shows up in the big moments, and it just, as a Sixers fan, it just goes on another of my long, I got a CBS receipt list long of just dumb moves that the Sixers have done since 1983, and letting Jimmy Butler get out. And I understand, man, I've been to Miami. I've seen what goes on down there, Kirk. I've been to Philly. So I can understand how hard it might be to get a guy to go, you know what, instead of going to Miami, we're going to make you stay in Philly. But I'm telling you what, I would have locked my mans up. I would have handcuffed him to something. Like, there is no way I'm letting Jimmy Butler get out of Philadelphia if I'm the Sixers. And they did, man. And it's frustrating because that guy on the Sixers team as it is now, that's championship hopes. But big ups to Butler, you know what I mean? Big ups to that whole Miami Heat team, bro. Yeah. They Kevin Love, everyone thought he was washed, right? My man had 15 and 12 last night.
That's about right. You know what I mean? You're not asking him to come in.
That's perfect.
You're asking him to come in and give you some good minutes, rebound the basketball, assist the basketball, be a positive, and bring your playoff
championship experience.
Bring your championship experience. That's all you want.
And the thing is now, guys, we look at the Milwaukee side of it. What now? I mean, does Mike Budenholzer finally get the exit? He was fired a couple years ago, and then they end up winning the title.
Well, also, remember yesterday, the 0.5 of a second left after Jimmy makes a shot. They don't call a time. Now, look, what's the percentage that they're going to get a game-winning shot off in very low, I'm sure. But the fact is, you didn't even put yourself into position to just throw a lob and have Giannis take that go-go gadget arm and just tap the ball
Run the
in.
same
Anything
play
could
that
have
Heat
happened.
just ran.
Yeah, like, so you didn't even, and now I don't know if that's the fact that they got the ball real quick and just inbounded it, but like they have enough vets on that team to look at that clock and know we got a timeout, there's 5/10 left, let's see what we can get. Instead they just throw the ball in and let the time run.
It also just seemed like they were shell-shocked.
Yeah, and that's understandable
a little
too.
bit.
The shot clock violation was to me, that's the one. It was either Giannis is going to take the shot or somebody else. Like, somebody has to be.
How does Grayson Allen end up with the ball at the end of the game?
He's like, oh, this ain't my role. Like, what are you doing?
Right?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you simply cannot lose a 16-point advantage and expect to win the game. That game should have been over.
Closeout game at home.
You know, like you can't.
Unbelievable.
So look, props to the Heat. They did their thing. They deserve to get that win, man, for sure.
You like them to move on? Are they going to upset the Knicks?
Well, is that an upset though?
Yeah. Knicks are favored.
I know, but I mean,
Knicks have home court advantage. I mean, obviously, it didn't matter.
The Knicks have
Milwaukee.
no championship experience, and the Heat do. So I look at it like that.
I don't know,
like,
but that crowd
I like the Knicks.
Nuts.
Yeah, I like the Knicks. The only thing that scares me is the availability of
Julius Randle.
If Julius Randle's not
injured his
seeing
ankle.
him walk off and then finish watch the game in street clothes.
He looked so despondent when he came back out too.
Yeah, so hopefully that's not an issue where he's out for too long. But if he's able to play, I just think the defensive team, it's going to be a defensive battle, right? I think
Those games are going to be in the 80s.
it's going to be, Thibodeau,
ugly
it's gonna
basketball.
More pretty if you're in the defense, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it's not going to be the scoring barrage that we expect.
No, we're not going to see 138, 135 or anything. No. The game will be in the 90s.
First to 100.
First to 100 probably
if you
wins
get there.
the game,
Maybe even first to 90, to your point.
Might be. First to 95.
Man.
Yeah.
But
right.
the Knicks are just like, what a story, man. The NBA is better when the Knicks are good, man, without question. And, just for the fact that, LA used to have like the celebrity row locked up when it came to fans, but the other day I'm watching like a Laker game and the second person they showed was, the woman from the show that everyone wants to keep up with that I don't even mention because I don't care about anything to do with that.
She was good,
and then you get to the Knicks and it's like, yo, here's some real celebs that love basketball.
What do you mean? Leo was at the game.
Yeah.
Prince Harry was at the game.
They didn't show Leo. They showed.
Yeah, they did. Denzel.
Not in this segment that I'm telling you.
Meghan Markle.
They showed Harry and Markle. They
yeah.
showed Kim, and they showed one other person.
Fleet, Anthony Kiedis.
Yes.
Will Ferrell. They were all there.
The only thing that I'm excited about, I get another series of, hey, Donovan Mitchell, don't you wish you came to the Knicks? I love that part.
And I think he really wanted to go to the Knicks too.
Don't you wish
that
you
was
came
the
to
word,
the
I
Knicks?
think. So for him not to get there and to lose to them,
I'm kind of surprised at how easy the Knicks dispatched of Cleveland.
It
I
did
thought that
seem
was
like
going
it
to
was
be
easy work, right?
It felt like
Easy
they were
work.
the most evenly matched teams. It felt like that was going to be a 7-game of all the series.
We called that one to
of
go
all
7.
the series that were going to go 7. It felt like that was the easiest pick to go 7 games, and I thought Cleveland was going to win. I thought they were better. Garland, Evan Mobley taking big steps.
LeVert.
Karis LeVert. Man, I just thought Donovan Mitchell baller, 71-point game this year. Knicks just had more.
Just had more.
Quickly
it's good.
topping, coming off the bench. RJ Barrett doing his thing,
But
Big
it's
ups to the Knicks.
learning. It's learning for Cleveland. I mean,
Yeah, no doubt.
This is a situation
might be
where
coaching too. Maybe. Yeah. Tibbs a great coach.
correct.
Been around a long time.
The good coaching is starting to show up, right?
Yeah,
And so
I mean,
we already know that's a narrative that the 76ers are going to have in this next round, whoever they play. If they get out-coached, we already know what's going to Missoula out-coaches him if the Celtics win.
Boston has a rookie head coach.
Correct. So
Who doesn't like to call timeouts when things are going badly. Hey, you
out-coaching
could use
should
those
not
to
be
end the
it.
run,
You can, right? And I'm a timeout guy. I don't know why. If I was a coach, I coach, youth league basketball. I'm
big
quick to
timeout
call.
guy?
Hey, timeout.
Hey, we need to regroup.
NFL, same thing. Timeout. Just take a deep breath. Understand the moment, right? And I know, hey, you value your players, but sometimes players need a timeout too.
True. But a timeout in the NFL is a lot different, right? Because you can't go on a 14-0 run in the NFL, just like that. I mean, you go 2 touchdowns. But I'm saying the basketball with the speed of the game.
Yeah, but like the Bucks, call timeout and say, hey, fellas, we know who the ball needs to get to. Let's make sure we're boxing out. Just one more refresher, right? You know how it is before you leave the house. Like, wait, time out. Keys, phone.
Oh, by the way, I've got a post-it note on my front door that I look at every day. Wallet, keys, charger, just to make sure you got it all.
So is that a 20-second timeout?
I think that is a Let me get a quick one real quick. Let me get a blow.
All right, let's go to another fun series. Lakers-Grizz. Grizz take care of business at home. They make this, what is it, 3-2 now?
3-2
Coming
now.
back to Los Angeles on Friday night. What's going to happen in this series, guys? Because Memphis looked really good.
They look great.
We saw what they can do. We saw the potential of this team. Ja looking a little bit more healthy. He's still playing like a crazy man. I mean, he knows he doesn't have to play like this, right? Just trying to dunk over everybody. But man, is he so fun to watch.
So much fun.
And this is the potential. This is what we've seen. This is why they were the 2 seed all year.
This has been building for a few years now.
You're right, exactly. It's been building, and Lakers are starting to look a little gassed, guys. Overtime that they pulled out the other night, they looked a little tired. And last night, you could see it. It's almost like they were like, all right, we're not going to win this. Let's just go back. Let's just go home. Maybe try to finish this out in Game 6. Do they finish it in Game 6, TJ? Do we get another Game 7? What do you think?
You know me, I'm always rooting for the Game 7, and I'm always rooting against the Lakers. So that's there you go. But no, I'm going to try to be impartial. I just feel you're right, man. I feel like the Grizz we've seen this coming for the last few postseasons with them, and I feel like their confidence level is high. But, the guy who had, the biggest kind of mouth, the most swagger, it appeared, Dylan Brooks, is now kind of like, I don't want to say he's shrinking in the moment, but like you put yourself in this villain spot. Don't, exhale now. You got to keep saying it with your chest, my guy. Like, you wanted to be this dude. You wanted to be in this spot. You wanted LeBron. You wanted this big time stage. So don't shrivel up now, dude. Like, not when Ja's doing this thing and Desmond Bane. And by the way, the thing about Desmond Bane, my man is like 6'4", but he got like the arms of like a 5'7" person. It's very weird how short his arms are. You guys ever paid attention to that?
Now I'm gonna.
Now you're going to. Right? You're going to. But
let me tell you my Desmond Bane assessment.
Please do.
Every time I look at him, he looks like he plays football for Navy. Like if you just watch it, I can never unlook at him thinking that he looks like he plays for like Navy. Like He's joked up, but it's like his picture, like his frame is like he plays fullback or
now go and look at his arms. It's like some guys' arms are so long, looks like they could tie their shoes without bending over. No. Desmond Bane's arms are so short, it looks like he has a hard time getting into his pocket. But like this guy he balled out. And Jaren Jackson,
they don't have the experience. Yeah. So they don't have the experience. Yeah. They've gotten deep.
They got
before,
youthful exuberance, Kirk.
But that's the part. They're young, and this is what they do to get themselves up. Like young players, they like the style of basketball that they play, and they like the trash talk. They like to talk when they're up. And young players don't know how to talk when they're down, right? That's what Michael Jordan, used to always say. All right, you want to talk when you're up. It's easier to talk when you're up, but what happens when you're down? And so it's imperative for them to get out to a fast start. I'll keep saying this. The Lakers don't win on Friday night at home, the series is over. And you can tell me, hey, LeBron James in a Game 7, but I've also seen him in a Game 7. I've seen him walk off the floor pretty quickly when it didn't go his way.
That's a good point.
But I'm saying I won't put it past LeBron, but I just feel like this series, if they don't win Friday night at home against the Grizzlies, this series is over. This series is over because Ja and everybody is starting to feel themselves a little bit. I think Ja is realizing his ability with the wrist injury. They know who they are. Their backs are against the wall. I'm just saying they should have won the previous game. They should have won Game 3.
And doing this without the big guy Steven Adams in there too is another. And Xavier Tillman, we brought him up. I got to be honest with you, man. I'd say my basketball knowledge, especially of players, is pretty high.
Right.
Xavier Tillman, when he came in the other day, I had to really go, wait, who is that?
Is it? Yeah.
And then he had, I think, 21 that game where he just broke out. He's, playing positive minutes. But if they did have Steven Adams out there, this series might.
That's what the playoffs do. That's what the playoffs do.
Yeah, next man up mentality, man.
Yep. Curious to see how the Lakers' second unit, because if you just look at the plus minus like we've been talking about, Rui Hachimura -18. Dennis Schroeder -20, Beasley -23, Brown Jr. -26. They really just couldn't get it done. They had no answer.
No energy.
They had no answer, no energy.
And by the way,
no boost, no nothing. LeBron had a kind of an off night. He said it himself. He stunk. 5 of 17, 1 of 9 from 3. Another double-double, but you kind of waste a really good Anthony Davis game.
Yeah, which
he was awesome.
They were looking for.
31 and 19. If they would have had that the game before, maybe that game doesn't go to overtime and they don't have to sweat that out. Interesting to see like which AD shows up tomorrow night, because you're going to know right away if he's got it or not.
Also, I think, like, let's be honest, the Lakers can't win if they're not going to put Mo Bamba in the game. You know, you gotta get Mo some minutes.
Man,
What's
Mo
going
ain't doing
on?
nothing. Mo over there just sitting down relaxing, man. Get out of here.
Bamba.
Bamba. What do we got? Oh, so you say must win tomorrow?
I say must win.
Must win.
They go 7 in the grindhouse. People are like, oh, no, they're not going to win on the road in the grindhouse. No.
Game 7. Any chance we get Game 7, Boston, Atlanta? Anyway, Atlanta wins tonight?
Look, for the sake of Joel Embiid's knee, I'm praying we get a Game 7, you know. But I don't know. Trae Young, he's one of those dudes. Don't let that kid catch fire, which he did. The confidence level is through the roof. And
so funny. They're in a weird way, they're a better team without DeJounte Murray, which doesn't make sense. They had that graphic during the game with they're averaging 6 more points a game.
Yeah, right.
Better shooting percentages without DeJounte.
But I got to be honest, when he got suspended, and rightfully so, I thought, okay, this is kind of a wrap. They can't win without him. But now him coming back, you as a C's fan, that's got to worry you now.
I'm just worried in general. It's been a weird season. We've lost a lot of games to teams we shouldn't have. I mean, you lose to Houston. You lose to some of these teams that have no business being on the court with you. And it goes back to the issues that plagued them last year against the Warriors. It was the turnovers. You know, 2 days ago in the fourth quarter, key turnovers in bad spots. Marcus Smart not making heads-up play, looking for calls. You can't put don't put the game in the hands of the officials. Take care of business. Jason Tatum, you're the best player on the floor. Go to the basket. Get yourself fouled. Go to the line. Get easy points. Get easy looks. So hopefully these guys have had a day to think about it, realize it was just one bad game, and take care of business, because Game 7, anything goes. Anything happens.
And everything.
You throw everything out, and it's do or die for your season.
Got to finish.
When now Milwaukee's out, you're the NBA title favorite right now. Like, take that mantle and run with it.
And now I think, we should quickly just touch on, the two teams that moved on, the Nuggets and the Suns. And
just waiting.
Waiting. This Nuggets team, they're deep. They play smart basketball. Joker, of course, is going to do his thing. But the return, and I'm really happy to see this, Kirk, the return of Bubble Jamal Murray, where he was just a monster in the bubble. Then, unfortunately, he tore his knee up. Yep. He was basically lost 2 years of his career. But this man he's found it again. And if Jamal Murray's going to go out and hit for 30 a game, this is, especially considering that the Suns, Chris, as you and I always say, the Suns, top 5 or 6, but that's not a very deep team.
Nope.
The Nuggets are a little deeper, so it's just going to be interesting to see. But Devin Booker, I'll just speak on this real quick. As a Clippers fan, just another weird season that went down because of injuries. Guys want to play, they don't want to play. At this point, I don't know what to believe. I read a thread on Twitter that Chris showed me about a beat writer who had a burner account who started listing some of the kind of wild things going on behind the scenes that no one knows about. Kawhi, can he play? Can he not play? I'm really tired of people sitting behind their laptops calling these athletes soft, though. That kind of bothers me. But fact of the matter is, another disappointing end of the season for the Clippers. And Devin Booker has that kid I guess he was already a star. Yeah. Is he now a superstar level? Because Devin Booker is hot right now. That's going to be a good series.
Do you want to do a Clippers post-mortem? How do we feel? Is it time to blow this team up?
I don't know how you...
I don't know if you blow it all the way up. You invested way too much. To blow it up will mean costly. And then where do you go from here? How do you change it around quickly?
Opening a new stadium in another year?
But it does.
Arena, rather.
It's about injuries. Yeah. So I do go about my offseason about how do I add another star? And that's what they wanted to do around the trade deadline. How do we add another player that can keep Kawhi from having to exert so much? I think the series will be different had Paul George been healthy.
Absolutely. And I'll say this,
they're victims of health, and that's the hard part. We've seen what that has done to a lot of series where a guy gets hurt. It's like, oh man, but that's the NBA.
That's life. Yeah.
But you need to find ways to overcome. That's all it is. They got to find another star. They got to find. I mean, and that's just around the NBA in general. And how good has Devin Booker been ever since? Obviously he's no longer with one of those keeping up people. So that also helps up too in breaking a curse like that he's playing better basketball.
Well,
so I want to throw that
not
out
with him. I don't keep up with that stuff.
It's over.
But as they say, if ifs were spliffs, we'd all be high. If the Clippers did have that whole if Kawhi and Paul were healthy, I truly do believe they win that series, but they weren't. You said they looked for another star. Russ came in. I was very happy with the job Russell Westbrook did once he got acquired. The effort. To me, I'm big on effort, right? As long, you can go 3 for 18 and that stinks shooting wise, but when I know you're out there, man, and you're diving for loose balls and you're going at 100, like you're giving it your all.
Russ is giving you 82.
I can't look down.
Russ is going to give you 82. I mean, he's not taking days off. No. He's going to get 82. And when the playoffs come is when he tends to rise even more. He just needed a little, the other guys around him. I mean, I've seen a different Russell Westbrook when he took over with Los Angeles, with the Clippers. I felt that he was trying to shield too much, trying to give too much. He would have an open lane and he's passing off to Kawhi because he wants to make the right play, where he took away from who he is a little bit and he's got to regain that. But if he's playing within the offense and Kawhi and Paul George are back, I can see him being that third player that they can rely on. Hey, this is Russ's quarter. This is Russ's 5 minutes. Go be Russ.
Yeah. And plus he wouldn't, if those guys were healthy, getting back to that, he wouldn't have that, 18 shot because it wouldn't be necessary for him to shoot that much. It's just, as a Clippers fan, it's just very despondent. I love basketball, and I was telling Brockman today, I like football. I love football, but I love basketball. And it's almost like the good Lord told me, you know what, since this is your favorite sport and you love it so much, I'm going to give you 2 teams. But because of that, every weird thing that could possibly go wrong with those 2 franchises is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you sit here, we talked about, who's the Jets guy that we talked about for the Jets fan, Chris?
Fireman.
I'm sorry. Talking about him leaving the Jets. That guy was the face of Jets fandom for years, and he just got to a point where I can't take this anymore. I completely understand this, man. I've been going to Clippers games since 1999. I've had season tickets. I've walked out of there with migraines from screaming at bad play, and it's just like every year you think you got something, and then a Chris Paul finger or a Chris Paul hamstring or a Blake Griffin quad or now Kawhi's knee and Paul's knee. It's very hard to be a Clippers fan, especially here in Los Angeles, where we legitimately are treated like the redhead stepchild. And I just don't know going forward. I said this yesterday. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Do I go into the season next year and think, hey, this is the year? Or do I just go, hey, I like basketball, I'm just going to go watch some games? I don't know. It's kind of depressing, though, to be completely honest with you.
All right, TJ, glad you got that off your chest.
Thank you.
We got to wrap it up real quick. Finals preview. Who do you got? Real quick. As of right now, who makes it? Who wins?
Oh, man, I'm going Warriors Celtics, too.
Ooh, rematch. Dang. TJ?
Man, I really don't know.
I know, we've been doing this every couple weeks.
I know what my heart says.
That's okay. You can go with your heart.
No, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be like the Eurythmics. I'm gonna listen to my heart. I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna go Sixers, Warriors.
Sixers, Warriors.
In the Wilt Chamberlain, in the Wilt Chamberlain Bowl.
I think last week, I think I would have said we're heading for Celtics Lakers. It just felt like an old school 80s type of vibe.
Lakers old, man.
Lakers are old. And the Suns don't have the depth. I think it's going to be Celtics Nuggets. I think those are the 2 best teams. Nuggets depth is going to take out Phoenix.
Dylan Brooks wasn't wrong in his assessment, by the way. He was just we don't like the messenger.
Yeah, right message, wrong messenger. Yeah, exactly. All right, that's going to do it.
Yeah, thanks, Kirk, for sitting in.
Thanks, Kirk, for sitting in, man. That was awesome.
Yep.
Adam, safe travels. Good weekend. Thanks, you guys, for listening. Enjoy all the games. We'll be back next week. Peace out.
Take my meniscus, please.